My name is JT Barr. I am a principal and landscape architect with Schmidt Design Group, and we have been hired by the city to collaborate with you all in designing this new park. Jen?
Hi, I'm Jen Montgomery, landscape architect with Schmidt Design Group.
And Blake?
Hey everybody, I'm Blake Corazon, project manager with Schmidt Design Group.
Buenas noches, yo soy Jesús Alan Figueroa, trabajo con Schmidt Design Group y seré su traductor el día de hoy.
And Mark?
Good evening, everybody. Mark Olson with the City of Oceanside Parks and Recreation Department. Thank you for joining us in this exciting venture as we move forward with Parkside 1 at El Corazon.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kimberly Corbin. I am the associate engineer and the project manager from the city side.
Fantastic. Thank you, Kimberly. And we have a number of ways that we'll be able to collect your input today. And one of those ways is through a number of polls. And so this is a test poll that we'll be shortly launching, asking what your favorite color is.
Más adelante estaremos haciéndoles algunas preguntas por medio de encuestas. Este es un ejemplo de las encuestas que veremos antes de empezar con preguntas más específicas del proyecto, tales como su color favorito.
So Blake, if you could launch that first poll for us.
Así que Blake, ¿podrías lanzar la encuesta?
So hopefully that popped up on everyone's screen and you're able to make your selection and then hit submit.
Así que esperamos que les haya aparecido la encuesta en su pantalla. Les pedimos que escojan su color favorito y hagan seleccionar submit.
Give you a few more seconds.
Daremos unos segundos más.
All right, Blake, show us our results.
Nuestros resultados,
we
Blake.
go.
All right. Got a wide range of favorite colors out there. Fantastic. So this will is intended just to get you comfortable with the interface, and thank you for doing that. And you'll see a few more like these as we move forward with the meeting.
Este es solo un ejemplo para que puedan ver cómo estaremos participando más adelante. Así que muchas gracias por participar.
We will also have some questions that we'll be using the chat tool. So these are the instructions. If you're on your computer, you can click the chat icon on the black bar and then select the chat option. And for those of you on your phone, you can click the three dots on the bottom right and then select chat.
También estaremos haciéndoles algunas preguntas usando la herramienta de chat. Si están en una computadora, por favor seleccione chat en la barra negra y luego seleccione la opción de chat. Para las personas que están en su teléfono, por favor seleccione los tres puntos como lo muestra a la derecha y seleccione chat.
If you have any technical difficulties as we move forward, please email Kimberly at the email address shown here.
Si tiene algunos problemas técnicos durante la junta, puede mandar un correo electrónico a Kimberly mostrado en la pantalla.
So our agenda for today, we're going to talk a bit about the history of the project, and then we'll provide an overview of the site analysis, what's really unique about the park site, and then we get to have some fun and collect your input on potential amenities that could be located within the park. Then we'll take some next steps, and then lastly, we will have open discussion and questions.
Para la agenda del día de hoy estaremos repasando la historia del proyecto, también el análisis del sitio y qué hace este proyecto divertido. Estaremos coleccionando también sus aportaciones sobre potencial de los servicios que podemos usar en este parque. Repasaremos cuáles son los siguientes pasos y tomaremos algunas preguntas.
Wanted to share with you a bit about our firm, Schmidt Design Group. We are a firm located here locally based out of San Diego, and we've been practicing for nearly 40 years. And you may have experienced some of the park spaces we've designed, including Cottonwood Creek Park, Savita Park, and the Waterfront Park in downtown San Diego.
Ahora nos gustaría hablar un poco de quiénes somos. Somos Schmidt Design Group, una firma de arquitectura paisajista. Somos locales aquí de la ciudad y nos gustaría también compartir que hemos estado trabajando en algunos proyectos que quizás ustedes conozcan, como Cottonwood Creek, Savita Park y Buena Vista.
And we're passionate about parks. We love working with communities and with agencies to deliver parks that are authentically connected to their community.
Somos muy apasionados en trabajar en parques que tengan esa conexión con la comunidad. Así que es lo que más nos gusta hacer.
Turn it over to Jen to discuss the project history.
Thanks, JT. We want to start by sharing some key highlights of the project history.
Ahora empezaremos con Jen, que nos estará hablando sobre el proyecto y nos gustaría empezar compartiendo con unas fechas claves sobre este proyecto.
Some highlights here. The site was a former silica sand mine, and in 1994, the property was given to the city of Oceanside. And then in 1995, the green waste facility opened.
Así que unos datos históricos, el sitio fue una antigua mina de arena silícea. En 94 la propiedad fue dada y entregada a la ciudad de Oceanside. En 1995 fue abierta la planta de residuos verdes.
And not long after, in 1996, reclamation work began to stabilize the slopes and eliminate pooling groundwater. In 1997, the land use vision plan was prepared, and in 2005, the conceptual master plan was developed.
Más adelante, en 1996, se empezó el trabajo de recuperación para estabilizar las laredas y eliminar la acumulación de agua subterránea. En el 97 se preparó la visión del uso del suelo y en el 2005 el plan maestro conceptual fue desarrollado.
Moving forward to the specific plan. In 2009, the specific plan and the environmental impact report were approved by Oceanside City Council. And in 2009 as well, the El Corazon Senior Center opened. And the vision for El Corazon is to create a 465-acre park in the center of Oceanside with a rural look and feel so that it creates a park that is an escape from city life.
En 2009, el plan específico y el reporte de impacto ambiental fueron aprobados por la ciudad de Oceanside. En el 2009 fue abierto el centro para personas mayores en el área del Corazón. Y la visión del Corazón es crear un parque de 465 acres en el centro de Oceanside con un aspecto rural para que el parque ofrezca un escape de la vida de la ciudad.
As part of this specific plan, there are 212 acres of parks envisioned, and those are separated into 9 distinct areas.
El plan específico incluye 212 acres en parques, los cuales serán separados en 9 parques distintos.
We're excited to be here tonight to talk about Park 1, which will be the first of 9 parks.
Así que estamos emocionados de estar aquí para repasar el Parque 1, que será el primero de los 9 parques.
Next, we'd like to share the site analysis looking specifically at Park Site 1.
Ahora nos gustaría compartir el análisis del sitio, específicamente en el sitio del Parque 1.
The site is less than 4 miles from the ocean, a 5-minute walk from the new aquatic center, and about 10 minutes from the future retail center that will be located on Oceanside Boulevard.
El sitio está a menos de 4 millas del océano, a 5 minutos caminando del nuevo centro acuático y a 10 minutos caminando del futuro centro comercial en Oceanside Boulevard.
This map shows how Park 1 fits with the current and future land uses. You can see on the south there that the park access will be from the parking lot to the south of the green area, which is the park. That parking lot can be accessed from Rancho del Oro.
Este mapa muestra cómo el Parque 1 encaja con el uso existente y el futuro desarrollo. Como pueden ver en el mapa, el acceso al parque será del estacionamiento al sur, el cual puede ser accedido de la calle Rancho del Oro.
The specific plan vision for Park 1 is shown in the area in red, and this area includes 450 parking spaces.
La visión para el plan específico del Parque 1 se muestra en rojo. Esta área incluye 450 espacios de estacionamiento.
This map shows the latest land uses surrounding Park 1. So you can see the shape has changed. There's an existing SoCal soccer parking lot and soccer complex on the southwest, and a proposed parking lot on the southeast. The current park area, not including the parking lot on the south, is approximately 17 acres.
Este mapa muestra los usos que rodean el Parque 1, que ha cambiado. Hay un estacionamiento existente para SoCal Soccer y hay un estacionamiento propuesto al sur. La área del parque, no incluyendo el estacionamiento, es aproximadamente de 17 acres.
Mm-hmm. Within those 17 acres, the city has an agreement in place for funding of the construction of 4 acres of sports fields, which we'll talk about more, and approximately 650 parking spaces. The parking lot will serve both the Front Wave Arena and Park 1. As we explore possibilities for amenities for the site, we also need to be aware that due to previous site use as a silica sand mine, there are geotechnical constraints on the site as well.
Dentro de los 17 acres, la ciudad tiene de acuerdo para la construcción 4 acres de campos deportivos. Al sur, la ciudad tiene un acuerdo para la construcción de aproximadamente 650 espacios de estacionamiento. El estacionamiento para Front Wave Arena y el Parque 1. Mientras exploramos los posibles servicios para el sitio, también tenemos que tener en cuenta, ya que el sitio anteriormente fue una mina de sílice y de arena, el sitio tiene algunas restricciones geotécnicas.
And for reference, we want to share some photos of the park site. So this is showing the current condition and the scale of the park. This view is from the north, looking at the current Moody's recycling site.
De referencia, aquí tenemos algunas fotos del parque que muestran la condición actual y la escala del parque. Esta vista está siendo tomada de la parte del norte del sitio, el cual muestra la área de reciclaje Moody's.
And this view is from the north, looking towards the ocean.
Y esta vista está viendo desde el norte hacia el océano.
Next, we'd like to gather your input on potential amenities for the park, given the current park size and configuration.
Ahora nos gustaría recolectar sus aportaciones para servicios potenciales para el parque, dado el tamaño y configuración actual.
There are a number of amenities envisioned to be included in other parks throughout El Corazon, and the construction timeline for those future parks will be based on use agreements that are currently in place. We just wanted to give an overview of some of the amenities that are included and envisioned in those future parks 2 through 9. They are envisioned to include amenities like those listed here on the right, such as playgrounds, softball and baseball diamonds, football fields, a dog park, and a bandstand, just as some examples.
Hay una cantidad de servicios visualizados para ser incluidos en otros parques a lo largo del Corazón. El tiempo dado de construcción para futuros parques será basada en los acuerdos que están actualmente siendo procesados. En el futuro, los parques del 2 al 9 están previstos para incluir servicios mostrados aquí en la pantalla, tales como parques de recreo, campos de softball y béisbol, campos de fútbol, un parque para perros y un escenario de música.
In looking at Park Site 1 in particular, the specific plan vision includes the amenities listed here: athletic fields, open play, community playgrounds, picnic pavilions, picnic tables, a parking lot, storage building, restrooms, and concession buildings. In the image on the right, you can see that the site area has changed due to surrounding land uses. So all of these amenities will not fit in Park Site 1. So that's why we were excited to have your input tonight to hear how the park design should be evolved and updated.
La visión del plan específico incluye los siguientes servicios, tales como 8 campos deportivos, áreas de juego, 2 patios de recreo, pabellones, mesas de picnic, estacionamientos, edificios para baños y áreas de concentraciones. Como pueden ver en la gráfica a la derecha, la área del sitio ha cambiado dado los usos alrededor y no todos los servicios cabrán dentro del Parque 1. Así que por eso estamos aquí. Queremos recibir sus aportaciones para este diseño, para que este parque pueda ser actualizado.
As we mentioned before, within that 17 acres, there's an agreement for a minimum of, or an agreement for 4 acres of sports fields, which the actual location has not yet been determined, but the yellow box shows the approximate size of the fields per scale. We show different field configurations in there just so you can see the scale. And there's also an agreement for parking on the south side that would be shared with Front Wave, as we mentioned. We'd like to get your input tonight on what amenities to prioritize within the remaining area that you see in green.
Dentro de los 17 acres, la ciudad tiene un acuerdo para la construcción de 4 acres en campos deportivos. La locación actual no ha sido determinada, pero la caja amarilla muestra aproximadamente el tamaño de los campos para usarlo como una escala de referencia. También, como mencionamos, la ciudad tiene un acuerdo para la construcción de aproximadamente 650 espacios de estacionamientos. El estacionamiento servirá para el uso de la arena Front Wave y el Parque 1. Así que nos gustaría recibir su aportación el día de hoy para ver cuáles son los servicios que quisieran priorizar y en la área que resta del parque.
And as Jen mentioned, there's a range of uses that could happen within this first future park, Park Site 1. And we've developed a list that will allow us to start to prioritize. And we'll be asking you to choose amenities that you feel are most important to you and that should be located within the park from this list.
Como Jen estuvo mencionando, hay una gran variedad de servicios que pueden ser incluidos en el próximo diseño de este parque. Así que próximamente estaremos pidiendo que escojan algunos de aquellos servicios que crean deben ser incluidos en el parque de esta lista que estamos mostrando.
And this includes additional active or flexible open fields. Is this a priority for you? As we've noted previously, there are 2 fields that will be located within the park. And is there a desire to have more?
Estuvimos repasando, quizás quieran campos de césped flexibles para juegos formales e informales. Como estuvimos mencionando, hay 2 campos que estaremos incluyendo.
Would you like to see a space for children's play? And this may include a range from modern play to nature-based play, but all playgrounds within the park, if they're included, will be inclusive and accessible for all.
Ustedes quieren ver espacios para patios de recreo. Estos incluyen un rango de juegos modernos y algunos basados en naturaleza. Y cabe mencionar que todos los patios de recreo serán inclusivos para el uso de todos los usuarios.
Would you like to see shelters for gathering, events, and picnics?
¿Les gustaría ver estructuras de sombra para eventos o picnics?
Would you like to have a restroom within the park that accommodates park users?
¿Les gustaría ver baños para el uso de los usuarios del parque?
or an off-leash dog run for our park users and their four-legged family members.
O un parque para perros sin correa para esos miembros de la familia de cuatro patas.
Would exercise stations be important to you and to be able to exercise within the park?
O quizás es importante para usted las oportunidades de hacer ejercicio dentro del parque y tener esas estaciones.
Would you like to see passive gardens and walking paths for strolls and connecting with nature?
¿Les gustaría ver jardines o senderos peatonales en el parque para dar paseos y conectar con la naturaleza?
Or would you like to see hard courts, which may potentially include basketball, tennis, pickleball, or multi-use courts?
O quizás quieran ver canchas con actividades tales como básquetbol, tenis, pickleball o canchas de multiuso.
Would you like to see a skate plaza offering challenges for skaters of all abilities?
¿O le gustaría ver una plaza de patinaje que ofrezca desafíos para todo tipo de habilidades?
Or would you like to see a pump track that the biking community can come to use and enjoy?
¿O les gustaría ver un pump track para el uso de la comunidad que usa bicicletas?
We've shared with you a wide range of amenities that could potentially be included in the park. What we would like to ask you to do is to select a maximum of 4 amenities that you would like to see included in the park. So shortly we will launch a poll and you'll have that opportunity.
Estuvimos repasando un rango de servicios que puedan ser incluidos en este parque. Ahora les estaremos lanzando una encuesta y les pedimos que seleccionen los 4 servicios que les gustaría ver en el parque.
Blake, you can go ahead and launch the poll, please.
Así que Blake, por favor, lanza la encuesta.
So please, we'll give you a minute and you can make your selections and then click submit.
Así que les daremos un minuto para que seleccionen y por favor hagan seleccionar submit para mandar sus respuestas.
All right, we'll give you 10 more seconds or so.
Bueno, les estaremos dando unos 10 segundos más.
All right, Blake, can we see the results, please?
Sounds
Nos
good.
muestra los resultados, Blake.
All right. Well, this is great. See a wide range of desires. There's definitely a need for a restroom. The playgrounds, off-leash dog runs, gardens, hard courts. Fantastic. Thank you.
Así que podemos ver que hay un rango de preferencias como baños, parques para perros sin correa, patios de juego, algunos jardines y senderos peatonales. Así que muchas gracias por participar.
We have a few follow-up questions. And one related to fields. And we had previously again discussed the 2 multi-purpose fields that will be included in the design. If you would have a desire to see additional active use fields, open flexible fields, or no additional fields. And the primary difference between active and open flexible fields is the active fields are dimensionally constrained. They need to be a certain size to accommodate athletic activities.
Anteriormente estuvimos repasando que el acuerdo de la ciudad incluía 2 campos multiusos, que uno era campo activo y el otro era campo abierto, flexible. Así que la diferencia entre estos dos es que el campo multiuso necesita tener cierto tamaño y dimensión para acomodar ciertos deportes, y los campos abiertos y flexibles no. Así que sabiendo eso, ¿cuáles si acaso les desearía ver en el parque como campos adicionales?
So Blake, if you could launch that poll and we ask that you please select one.
Así que le pedimos a Blake que lance la encuesta y les pedimos que a ustedes que seleccionen solo uno.
We'll give you a minute to make your selection.
Les daremos un minuto para que haga su selección.
About 10 more seconds to wrap up and click submit.
Así que unos 10 segundos para terminar la encuesta. Por favor, seleccione Submit.
All right, Blake, can you share the results?
¿Cuáles son los resultados, Blake?
All right, seems like we have a range of ideas and opinions about our potential need for additional turf at different fields. Thank you very much.
Así que podemos ver un rango de lo que desean ver en los campos flexibles. Así que de nuevo, muchas gracias por participar.
Another follow-up question, specifically related to types of hard courts you would like to see, if any. We have tennis, basketball, pickleball, or multi-use courts, or none. And multi-purpose courts are courts that are striped to accommodate tennis, basketball, and pickleball. The image on the top right is a multi-purpose court.
Otra encuesta de seguimiento, de nuestra encuesta es si tienen alguna preferencia del tipo de canchas y si alguna debería ser incluida en este parque. Tenemos quizás canchas de tenis, canchas de baloncesto, de pickleball, multiuso o quizás ninguna. Las canchas de uso múltiple son marcadas para acomodar quizás tenis, pickleball y baloncesto, y la foto de arriba puede mostrar todos esos tipos de juegos en esa foto.
Blake can go ahead and launch the poll, and we ask that you please select one.
Así que le pedimos a Blake que mande la encuesta y a ustedes que seleccionen solo uno.
I'll give you a minute.
Tenemos un minuto.
Take 10 more seconds to wrap up your answer and click submit.
Otros 10 segundos para que seleccionen su respuesta y seleccionen Submit.
All right, Blake, if you could share the results.
Blake, ¿puedes mostrar las respuestas?
Right. Thank you. It looks like see a desire for pickleball and multi-purpose courts. So thank you for providing those responses.
Muy bien. Al parecer hay un deseo que hayan canchas de multiuso y canchas de pickleball. Así que muchas gracias por sus respuestas y comentarios.
Also have a question about the style of playground that you would like to see in the park, if any. There's a wide range of play typologies, from modern play equipment to very nature-based play. We're also asking if you'd like to see both or none.
Otra pregunta es si tienen alguna preferencia de los tipos o el estilo de los patios de recreos que se deban usar en el parque. Esos incluyen quizás equipos de juegos más modernos o juegos basados en la naturaleza, quizás de los dos o quizás ninguno.
Blake, go ahead and launch that poll. We ask that, again, you please select one.
Así que le pedimos a Blake que mande la encuesta y a ustedes que seleccionen solo uno.
Take about 10 more seconds to finalize your responses and click submit.
Les damos otros 10 segundos más para que terminen de responder su respuesta y seleccionen submit.
Blake, if you could share those results.
Así que le pedimos a Blake que comparta los resultados.
All right, seems like we have about half the group looking at like the idea of having both, a bit of modern and a bit of nature-based play.
Al
All right.
parecer, a la mitad les gustaría ver de los dos tipos de juegos basados en naturaleza y juegos modernos.
We also wanted to ask if we've missed any amenities that you would like to see in the park. If so, you can submit those responses to the open chat in the chat function that we had discussed earlier. So please do so now and give you a moment to provide that input.
Ahora nos gustaría preguntarles si hay algún servicio que hayamos olvidado. Quizás algunas experiencias que les gustaría que fueran parte o incluidas de este parque. Y si lo hay, por favor, mande sus ideas por medio de la ventana de chat que estuvimos mencionando anteriormente. Les daremos un minuto para que tenga la oportunidad de mandar su comentario o sugerencia.
We'll provide a few more seconds. Also wanted to note that the chat will be open throughout the entirety of the meeting. So if you think of something as we move on, you're welcome to come back and provide that additional input through the chat.
Y también le queremos recordar que la ventana de chat estará abierta durante toda la junta, así que si gustaría hacer un comentario, lo puede mandar por medio de esa función.
Lastly, we wanted to ask if you could provide a few words or statements that personify the city of Oceanside and El Corazon to you. We want this park to be a reflection of the community, and your input will really help us in achieving that.
Por último, queremos que este parque sea una expresión, una reflexión sobre la ciudad de Oceanside y su comunidad en el corazón. Así que nos gustaría que por favor nos proporcione unas palabras o frases en la ventana del chat que describan su comunidad.
Provide those in the chat, please.
Así que si pueden proporcionarlas esas en la ventana del chat.
You may see me looking up. I have multiple screens, so I'm here with you.
Si nos ven que estamos viendo a diferentes partes es porque tenemos más de una pantalla.
All right. Well, thank you for providing all of that feedback. We greatly appreciate it.
Así que muchas gracias por dar todas esas aportaciones. Se los agradecemos mucho.
We did want to share with you our next steps.
Así que nos gustaría ahora compartir con ustedes cuáles son los siguientes pasos.
So we're going to take all of the feedback that we received here today and synthesize that, and that will inform a series of 2 design alternatives that we prepare. We'll develop those, and then we will come back to you and present those design alternatives and collect additional input. And we're currently targeting early 2023 for that meeting.
Así que aquí vamos a tomar todos sus comentarios y sintetizar lo que se estuvo hablando en la junta de hoy. Esto nos ayudará a desarrollar 2 diseños alternativos, los cuales les presentaremos a ustedes en un taller comunitario, el cual de nuevo les presentaremos alternativas y recibiremos sus aportaciones, el cual está previsto para el inicio del 2023.
As we move forward with future meetings, we wanted to ask if you had a preferred language for those meetings. So we will launch one additional poll asking your preference for English or Spanish.
Y ahora que continuemos con la siguiente taller comunitario junta, nos gustaría saber qué es el idioma, su idioma preferido para estas juntas. Así que estaremos lanzando una encuesta para pedirles que seleccionen su idioma preferido.
Blake, you can go ahead and ask that question.
Así que le pedimos a Blake que mande la encuesta.
Give you a few seconds.
Les daremos unos segundos.
All right, Blake, if you could share those results.
Así que le pedimos a Blake que comparta los resultados.
All right. Thank you. We appreciate that.
Así que muchas gracias.
We will move on to questions and discussion, and we're excited to hear from you. I would ask that you be concise with your questions and comments. We will be translating through the question and discussion period, so we'll have an opportunity for Jesus Alon to translate. So.
Ahora pasaremos a hacer las preguntas y comentarios y nos gustaría abrirlo de nuevo para todos ustedes. Les pedimos que sean un poco concisos para que me ayuden a mí a poder traducir las preguntas y respuestas de aquí en adelante.
Thanks, JT. I can jump in.
Great.
And thanks everyone for your comments so far. If you are on a computer to speak, please click reactions in the black bar and then select the raise hand option. If you are on your phone, please click the 3 dots, which is the image on the right, and select raise hand. Please try to keep your questions to under 2 minutes so everyone in the meeting can have an opportunity to speak.
De nuevo a todos por sus comentarios. Ahora para este nuevo formato que vamos a estar repasando, si está en una computadora, por favor seleccione Reactions en la barra negra y después seleccione Raise Hand. Para los que están en un dispositivo móvil, por favor seleccione los 3 puntos, como lo muestra a la derecha, y seleccione Raise Hand. Les pedimos que mantengan sus comentarios y preguntas a menos de 2 minutos para que todos puedan tener la oportunidad de hablar.
Thanks. So please raise your hand if you'd like to verbally comment or continue to type your comments in the chat and we'll answer those second.
Así que de nuevo, si gusta levantar la mano, estaremos respondiendo las preguntas o igual pueden mandar su pregunta por medio de la ventana del chat.
I'm just going to go in the order I see here. So Susie Murphy, if we could unmute Susie, if you want to share your question.
Así que vamos a empezar con Susie, que aparece al principio de nuestras pantallas.
Blake, if you'd rather lead the unmuting, that's fine too.
Yeah, no problem. I can do that. We'll get you unmuted here, Susie.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
We can.
Hi. Thank you so much for the meeting. Amazingly facilitated. Thank you so much. My name is Susie Murphy. I'm the executive director of the San Diego Mountain Biking Association. Been involved for many years over discussions about El Corazon and how best to serve the residents of Oceanside who love to walk and ride their bikes in the area. And so I have a kind of a two-part question. How is the city of Oceanside planning for safe routes to the park for pedestrians and cyclists in multimodal alternative transportation sort of ways with bike lanes and so on from the surrounding neighborhoods? And also just want to say I'm here to serve as a resource for some amazing progressive ideas that are happening around the country and even in Southern California about bike park and trail and bike playground sort of amenities that would really bring Oceanside into a very progressive model of how modern park design can happen. So here to serve as a resource, happy to help, and just know that there's many cyclists in Oceanside of all ages, from those who can't even pedal a bike yet on a balance bike, to those that are much more mature cyclists who would love to see families of all ages on bikes out enjoying the amenities. So here to help and happy to be a resource. Thank you so much.
Susie, thanks for your question. I'll just, if it's okay, I'm going to summarize it so we can interpret it as well. I heard that you're with the Bike Association and had two-part question. How is the city planning for multimodal safe routes to the park? And that you're here to serve as a resource and have ideas for bike park, trail, and playground opportunities.
Okay. Así que Susie es la directora ejecutiva de la Asociación de Bicicletas y está haciendo dos preguntas. La primera es cómo es la que la ciudad desde Oceanside planea tener diferentes rutas para las líneas de ciclistas o bicicletas alrededor del parque y esas conexiones. Y la segunda ofrece su ayuda para para poder aportar algunos diferentes recursos que puedan hacer que este parque tenga mejor uso de la comunidad para los ciclistas y diferentes ideas progresistas.
And Mark and Kimberly would appreciate your input on the safe routes and wanted to thank you, Susie, for offering to be a resource and ask if you could share your contact information in the chat, please.
I'll jump in. Thank you, Susie. Good to have you in our meeting again. She's been a great resource. Obviously, the scope of this is not necessarily the transportation with Oceanside, but I can tell you that micro mobility as well as multi-mobility has been a huge, we've seen a huge increase in that, and that's going into all of our plan designs and our reviews. And certainly with the new park coming online, we would anticipate that that would be a primary use of transportation to access this site. And so, you know, any traffic review plans with any project that ultimately is accomplished here at this site would factor those things in as well.
Así que le da gracias a Susi por sus aportaciones. Le comenta que ese proyecto quizás no tenga todo, que pueda incluir toda la transportación, y se ha estado hablando de la movilidad micro y macro, y que está en planes de desarrollo para poder ver cómo el uso del tráfico en este parque puedan ser mejor diseñadas para los usuarios que entran y salgan de este parque.
Blake, since you have control of the hands, could you just unmute and introduce the next person, please?
Of course. All right, it looks like we have Mark Herman. So I'm gonna go ahead and unmute you and you can ask your questions or comments.
there's a lag. We can't hear you yet, Mark. Hold on. There's something wrong. We'll try one more time.
I
There we
unmuted
go.
myself. Can you hear me now?
There we go.
Yes, sir.
Again, I'd like to thank you for holding this meeting. It's very informative. My one short question is, when do we anticipate the opening of Park 1 once the improvements have been completed?
And just to reiterate, the question is, when will the park be opening? The concisest way I can say it. And he's just on. Go ahead.
No worries. Sí, la pregunta de Mark es ¿cuándo anticipa la ciudad de San Diego que el parque será abierto a la comunidad?
Mark
Okay.
Olson, do you want to take that one or you want me to take that one? All right,
Why
so
don't you go ahead,
we
Dick?
are, I got it. We are looking to finish the design in summer of 2023, and then that will open us up for construction. We have not identified the funding for construction, so at this time I cannot give you a date for when construction will be complete.
Estamos ahorita planeando que el diseño nos lleve hasta el verano del 2023. Para la parte de la construcción, aún no están recaudados todos los fondos para terminar la construcción de este parque, por lo cual no tenemos todavía una fecha para cuándo será abierto al público.
Thanks, Jesus. Blake, if you could announce the next person, could you just list the next 3 people so they can be ready and just.
Yeah, of course. All right, next up is Genevieve Wonder. And following that is Wayne Godinet. And I apologize if I mispronounce your last names. And then Anthony Flores. So Genevieve, I'm going to unmute you.
Hi, we.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having this. Thank you for inviting me. I am Genevieve Wonder, and I am a park commissioner. I just have a general question for, has anyone thought of perhaps having a farming area for school projects for children through high school? I think that's something that we should add at some point in time to include our children so they can know how the community is fed. Just an afterthought. I don't know how this would work, but I just thought I would like to bring that up. And one other comment is, Jesus, thank you very much for the interpretation. It's been wonderful.
Thank you.
That's my question.
Jesus, do you want to interpret or I can summarize?
I think I got it. So Genevieve is a park commissioner.
It's been.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. I'm trying to go back and forth. Genevieve es una comisaria del parque y pregunta si hemos pensado en la formación para niños de kinder a la preparatoria y quizás cómo enseñarles de cómo la comunidad crece como comida para comer y eso, cómo le damos comida a nuestras a la gente de nuestra comunidad.
And thank you for your comment. The farming is not currently a listed amenity, so we'll add that to the feedback from today's meeting.
And Jan, if I could just chime in, Commissioner Wonder, it's good to see you this evening. I hope you're doing well. We are actually planning on some programming to introduce that specific type to our teen and youth population. So I'll be happy to share with you that information on a separate conversation, but know that that is on the minds of staff, and we're excited to bring that to the community.
La respuesta fue de que quizás agricultura no está en parte quizás de los servicios del programa, pero la estaremos agregando como parte de los comentarios. Y la otra respuesta fue de que se está hablando actualmente sobre cómo introducir esto a diferentes programas de la comunidad. Y le agradece a Genevieve por su pregunta.
Thanks, Blake.
All right, Wayne Godinez, you are up next, followed by Anthony Flores and Dan Proctor. I'll unmute you now.
Hello, can you hear me okay? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Quick question on the consultants. Are we starting from scratch with regard to Park 1, or is any of the previous meetings and discussions, even during the grant that they had about a year or two ago, are we referencing anything there, or this is just straight out first meeting with the consultants?
Hi, Wayne, thank you for your question. Just to summarize, I think we got a little echo. If you don't mind muting, and we can unmute you again if you put your hand up. Are you able to do that, Blake? I'll start responding, but there is a little echo. The question was, there was a grant funded application, or an application for grant funding, and was that considered, or we started from scratch?
La pregunta fue que anteriormente hubo un proceso de aplicación de financiación anteriormente, y si esto está siendo incorporada en esta presentación.
So we're familiar with the grant application as a consultant and the amenities that were identified through that process. We know providing community input takes your time, and we really appreciate you joining tonight to provide input again. The grant funding ultimately was not approved, and since then the city has agreements for and funding for the 4 acres of athletic fields and a parking lot. So we're asking again for your feedback on the amenities based on the information that was presented tonight.
Estamos familiarizados con el diseño para la aplicación de la financiación y de los servicios que fueron identificados en el proceso anteriormente. Sabemos que el aporte de la comunidad toma tiempo y estamos muy agradecidos con ustedes por estar aquí esta noche aportando de nuevo. La financiación al final no fue aprobada de la ciudad, así que la ciudad tiene nuevos acuerdos para que los 4 acres de los campos deportivos y el estacionamiento. Así que estamos aquí pidiendo sus comentarios y servicios, los servicios que serán basados en la información presentada esta noche.
Thank you. I'm not hearing any more comments from anyone, so Blake, if you can go ahead and introduce the next speaker.
Of course. Anthony Flores, I'll unmute you, followed by Dan Proctor and Marlene C.
All right, thank you. Can you guys hear me?
We can.
All right. I appreciate the presentation and the opportunity to speak and ask questions about Park Site 1. Some of my questions are in regard to the amenities. I know we're having the 2 fields. You know, I know that's coming down from 8. I'm sure we'll have an opportunity to discuss why that happened. But want to know specifically, are we going to have lights at these fields? And are these fields going to be synthetic fields or natural grass fields? And then another question would be, who's actually have control of these fields? You know, with our past, Oceanside has given up control of these fields to other parties, and it's been hard, you know, for the youth to access these fields. So I want to make sure that Oceanside is going to have control of these fields and the permitting process.
I heard 3 questions. If you want to translate those, Jesus Salon.
Yeah. estuve preguntando que vamos a bajar de 8 campos deportivos a 2 y quería hablar un poco más sobre eso. Pregunta si habrá iluminación en el parque, especialmente en los campos deportivos, y si la ciudad de Oceanside va a tener, cómo va a controlar quizás quién usa y cómo usa esos campos deportivos en el futuro.
And I'll respond about lighting, and then Mark and Kimberly turn it back to you. In terms of lighting, there would be an intent to provide lighting for the parking lot, pathways, and restrooms. Athletic field lighting has not yet been determined.
Por parte de la iluminación, la intención es que haya iluminación en los estacionamientos, en los senderos y baños, pero los campos deportivos aún no han sido determinados.
And my understanding is the field material has not been selected, and the fields are intended to be for public use. But give you, turn that over to you, Mark and Kimberly, if you want to share more.
Yeah, I'll jump in here. Thank you, Mr. Flores, for your excellent questions and for joining us this evening. With respect to 2 fields down from 8, I think just for clarity is the 2 fields are what we will have as a minimum. There certainly could be more fields, which is why the poll questions asked for what the community wanted. Obviously, the 8 would not fit within the current site constraints, but that doesn't mean it has to be 2. There certainly could be more based upon the public feedback. The 8 had the initial footprint that also included some of the parking lot. And I'll let Jose kind of translate that before I move to the next one.
Thank you. Sobre la pregunta de los campos, de por qué se han reducido de 8 a 2, los 2 campos son lo mínimo. Los 8 campos que se mostraron anteriormente quizás no caben en el parque porque, por el tamaño del parque, ¿verdad? Así que quieren, la comunidad, por eso tuvimos esta junta hoy para ver qué eran los campos que querían ver y cuáles eran los que iban a caber dentro del tamaño de nuestro parque.
Thank you, Jesus. And then to your other question that I don't believe has been answered regarding the control, these fields will be included into the city inventory and would go through the city process. They would not be within a different entity's control. So they would be public fields. And as Jennifer mentioned, lighting and surfacing has not been determined at this time, but they would be within the inventory of the city park and recreation facilities.
Sobre la pregunta del control, esto estará incluido en el inventario de la ciudad de Oceanside. Eso no lo va a controlar ninguna otra identidad. Y sobre lo de el césped, de qué tipo de césped va a ser, eso todavía no ha sido seleccionado, así que será desarrollado más adelante.
Thanks for the question. Blake, please go ahead. If you could unmute the next speaker.
Of course. Dan Proctor, I will unmute you, and then Marlene C. and Sandra Singleton, you're up next.
Hey, Dan Proctor, local Oceanside resident, 5-year-old and 2-year-old. I'm calling and suggesting that if we can in the future, I know I was on the call surveys last year as well, that you guys consider reaching out to community a little bit more proactively to get input on these things. Like if you're going to do a survey, that's just a few questions, if we can reach out to local community associations, local PTOs to get more input for these things. And then my question is, what are the roadblocks you're seeing to get funding and get these this Parkside 1 accomplished?
Thanks for your question. You want to jump in, Jesus Juan?
I think I got it. So Dan Proctor es un residente en la ciudad de Oceanside y sugiere que consideren incluir más en la comunidad para obtener más respuestas quizás en las encuestas por medio quizás de los PTO o toda la gente de esas comunidades para tener más información. Y su pregunta es, ¿cuáles son los obstáculos que estamos viendo para recaudar fondos para el desarrollo de este parque?
Dan, your comment is noted about more input, and we appreciate you being here. We do want to get the word out and get as much feedback as we can. And in terms of roadblocks for funding, I wondered if the city would like to provide any input. I think we are moving forward with Park Site 1, so that's good news. But Mark or Kimberly, if you have more to share, though. Oh, turn it
Yeah.
on.
I'll just, a couple comments. Tonight's kind of the first step in the right direction, Mr. Proctor. And so, this process will go a long way into determining the design based upon the public feedback that we have. And then once this process is complete, then it becomes staff's obligation and objective to identify funding, whether that be funded through our park fees or another source, perhaps grant funding, things like that. So we're at the initial stages, but we are committed to doing this. That's why these meetings are taking place. And we will be determining funding opportunities throughout the process so that when it's complete, we have a direction to complete the project.
Menciona que para la pregunta de los obstáculos, este es apenas el primer paso. Estamos empezando ahora el proceso de diseño. Y ya que termine ese proceso o mientras que estamos en el proceso de diseño, es la obligación de la ciudad de tratar de obtener finanzas para poder financiar este proyecto. De nuevo, estos son los primeros pasos. Estamos dándole la oportunidad a la comunidad que se involucre y por mientras estarán buscando ellos financiamiento para este proyecto.
Great, thanks again for your question. And Blake, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Jen. Marlene C., I'll unmute you now, and then Sandra Singleton and Diane are on deck.
Good evening, and I hope you can hear me. First off, thank you very much for this opportunity. And also thank you a lot, Kimberly, for your personal communication. Really appreciated that. I'm the president of Montego Village Homeowners Association. We're a community of 84 homes, 3/4 mile south of Oceanside Boulevard and the park. And I would just like to say a couple of things that Oceanside really needs. Several dog parks. Carlsbad has 2, Oceanside has some lovely ones. And I know as a dog owner that there are many people who walk their dogs in between Henny Hills and the other communities near us. And it would be really nice to have a dog park. So I'm glad to know that we're considering that. Second, in a follow-up to Ms. Wonder's comments in regards to farming demonstrations, I'd also like the designers to consider the opportunity for community gardens. I have previously lived in Orange County, and that opportunity was available and was well enjoyed and maintained by community members. And lastly, here's my question is, with all the design that's going on, how is this going to affect traffic in the local area? Thank you for the opportunity of commenting.
Thanks, Jay. You just go ahead.
Yeah. So, Marlene es la presidenta de la Asociación Montego, que está a 3/4 al sur de donde estará el parque número 1, y menciona que la ciudad de Oceanside necesita más parques para perros, que ha estado en diferentes comunidades y que esos han incluido diferentes parques para los perros y hay gente que camina por las calles y que eso sería un buen beneficio. comenta cuando se mencionó sobre la agricultura y la demostración de la agricultura, menciona la oportunidad que se le podría dar a la comunidad para tener jardines comunitarios. Menciona que hay bastante, mucha gente que quisiera tenerlos y que la comunidad podría mantenerlos. Y su pregunta es cómo afectaría el tráfico en la área local.
Thanks. And thank you for your comments and feedback about the dog parks and to consider community gardens in the park space. And your question about traffic, we also received a question in the chat about access to the park site. And so I want to reiterate that the access to the park would be off Rancho del Oro. There's currently one access at Senior Center Drive, and there'll be another road that would be open farther north, directly east of the park site. And traffic will be considered as we develop the plan. And this specific plan had considered circulation to the park and those roads are currently being constructed. So there will be consideration for traffic and multiple ways to get off of Rancho del Oro into El Corazon.
Le damos las gracias por los comentarios que hizo sobre los parques para perros y sobre la pregunta sobre el tráfico y el acceso. Alguien también estuvo preguntando eso en las ventanas del chat. Y para acceder al sitio hay un acceso por medio de Rancho del Oro, hay otro acceso por Senior Drive que está al norte y habrá otro acceso por medio del lado este. De nuevo, el tráfico y todos los estudios estarán incluidos en nuestros diseños para verificar la circulación al entrar y salir del parque. Así que le damos las gracias por sus preguntas.
All right, Sandra Singleton, I will unmute you, and then Diane and Eric Simmons, you're up next.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Great. Hello, everyone. It's been wonderful to be able to witness as well as participate in an actual kind of organic living process that kind of seems connected to humanity, but that's not why I'm asked to speak. I too am speaking on behalf of the dog owners of Oceanside, and I won't sound I will sound fragmented, and then I'll pull it together. First of all, I was wondering if there is a priority within the large conversation that you plan to serve parts of the population that are not yet served. In other words, there are, because I've seen them, a lot of different fields to play in, places to take a little walk, places to have a little picnic or big picnic. But I, in this city of 180,000 people, have not yet seen a place to turn your dog out into a park. Now that's one part. For I understand our city has about 180,000 people in it, many of them living in apartments and condos, so they do walk their dogs a lot. But I really don't think there are less than one half of the 180,000 people in the city that own one or two or more dogs. There are a lot of dogs in the city, and I don't think that's news to you folks. So Carlsbad, to clarify, has 3 dog parks. Excellent, outstanding, and very useful. That's a judgment only based on the way my dogs and other people I've spoken to, but they're all useful. And I'm going to say something that is not judgmental, but it will sound that way. But as a taxpayer of Oceanside, I feel that Oceanside should be paying Carlsbad for all of us in Oceanside who go to Carlsbad every single day to enjoy the off-leash freedoms for the dogs. Now, I know you guys won't really believe I want you to write a check, but I would like to personalize what that means. Not so much that we trek down to Carlsbad, but that we are using somebody else's parks when we're enjoying them, not paying for them. So what is this all about? It sounds random, but what I really want to have out there is this: we are not just a noisy bunch of people who want to get their dogs out of the backyard. This is a phenomenon that's everywhere, right? We all know this, and their dog population is not going to go down, and we are paying taxes, and we are seeking exercise for us, our animals. So what I'm asking is that, if not privilege, at least proportion. How many pieces of property in the city of Oceanside are actively providing opportunities for families to play, for sports to play, for people to have picnics, to people to just toss a ball between their children? And right now, how many places are there opportunities for the citizens of Oceanside who have dogs to do the same thing? And I don't know if 2024 is a really realistic date. That's my thoughts. And I thank you so much.
Thank you, Sandra. I'm going to attempt to summarize, but I won't capture all that in English. But for the translation, I heard you make 2 points. One, that it should be a priority to serve off-leash dog park community members who are looking for off-leash dog parks, and to look closely at the city for how recreational use is used, and to be proportionate for dog users. So
Thank you.
if we could just try to translate that summary, and I apologize if I missed anything, but
Sí, así que la pregunta es si se le está dando prioridad quizás para servir a la comunidad de Oceanside que tiene perros, perdón, y por las proporciones que se le dan quizás a la ciudad, a los ciudadanos que usan quizás un parque o patios de recreo o áreas de picnic, que se les da la misma proporción quizás a los usuarios que tienen perros en la comunidad de Oceanside.
and the scope of this park is P1. So definitely your feedback is noted, and we'll make note that dog parks are a priority for this space, and I hear also for the whole city.
Thank you.
Así que la respuesta es que para lo que se estará incluyendo en el Parque 1, así que estaremos tomando en cuenta que es una prioridad que menciona que se incluyen parques para perros para los usuarios de la comunidad de la ciudad de Oceanside.
All right. Thank you, Sandra. Diane, you're up next, followed by Eric Simmons and Dwayne Taylor.
Hello?
Gotcha.
Oh, hi, thank you. I appreciate being here at this meeting. I'm new to this process, so I just want to make it clear that there was a vote that there is no funding for these amenities at this point. That's my first question. And who voted it down to have additional funding? Second question. And then the third question, moving forward, will there be additional transportation other than automobiles to get to the park? And that's, I appreciate you answering those questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Jesus,
Yeah, I got it. Yeah. La pregunta de Diane es que si estaba correcto que entendió que no había fondos para este proyecto. Su siguiente pregunta era quién fue el que hizo que ya no hubieran fondos para este proyecto, por qué ya no hubo fondos para este proyecto. Y su tercera pregunta era si habrá más transportación aparte de carros para entrar o acceder al parque número 1.
Great. Thank you for your question. And in terms of funding and additional transportation, I wondered if we could give the city an opportunity to respond to that.
Yeah, Mark here. Thank you for the question. To clarify, obviously we're in the first part of designing the park, and the question or the comment that Kimberly, my colleague, made earlier was that at this time, there hasn't been funding identified for the construction because we're not to that point. No one, let me be clear, no one has voted down any funding or allocation of funding for the park. We're just at the process of designing, and they have allocated funding to do this process at this point. So the funding component of the park construction will come at a later time. It just has not been identified currently. And then I can take the second one after the translation.
Y así que sobre lo de los fondos para el diseño del parque, menciona que no hay fondos identificados para el parque actualmente porque el parque ahorita está siendo diseñado. Ya que el parque sea diseñado, entonces ya habrán más fondos alocados quizás para el desarrollo de este parque.
Thank you, Jesus. And to the transportation, anytime we develop anything in the city of Oceanside, we have to look at the traffic impacts and develop traffic control plans for said development. And that would be no different with respect to this project. There are already multiple forms of transportation going to all of the different parks as well as throughout Oceanside. And we will factor those in throughout this development process.
Sobre la pregunta de transportación, menciona que siempre que hay un parque que se está desarrollando, siempre se ve y se repasa sobre los reportes de transportación y de tráfico. Y menciona que todos los parques que hay en la ciudad de Oceanside tienen previsto la transportación a ellos, así que no será diferente en ese parque, que se tomará en cuenta también en el proceso del diseño.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Diane. Eric Simmons, you're up next, followed by Dwayne Taylor.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, Eric.
How are you guys doing? Thanks for taking my call. Long time listener, first time caller and talker.
Love it.
I'm actually a resident of Carlsbad, and I live next to Poinsettia Park. So the discussion about the dog park was true. That it's very busy over there, and a lot of folks love it. However, and I am also an Oceanside Pop Warner coach. Coach my son's 6-year-old flag team at MLK Park. So I spend a lot of time at Oceanside and do a lot of work up there. The reason I'm piping in, so you'll hear also from my buddy Dwayne Taylor, we are both ex-professional BMX racers on the elite level, and we have affiliation with USA BMX, which is the largest BMX, I guess, institution that we belong to. And I know that having the possibility of a professional racing track at the location would not only serve the community, but I believe it could bring in a nice source of revenue for the area surrounding the track itself, for the city. And once it's built, it actually is pretty self-sustaining. I didn't know if there's a possibility of a discussion. We have impact reports, we've got dollar figures lined up, participant usage, and then all the facts and stats associated with the professional track. It's been proven over and over again. And I know Dwayne has run professional pump track races in the past. I've had also a lot of work with those too. So just wanted to throw it out there and see if that's a possibility.
Thank you. And if I can just summarize, thank you for all your comments. The feedback is that you have affiliation with the BMX of USA and are suggesting a possibility of a racing track, and noted that it has the opportunity for revenue and that you could share and have information about the details of impact reports and such type things for a racetrack.
Yeah, we've got feasibility studies, we've got the impact reports, revenue streams from all sources, and it would really be a great opportunity to bring BMX to North County. The nearest track is in San Diego, and then also in Chula Vista, and the nearest one north of here would be either in Paris or in Bellflower or even Whittier. So there's nothing here in this general area to serve the community. And I know with all of my affiliations, as well as the persons who I'm in contact with, we do have a kind of a broad reach to bring the sport to North County. I think Oceanside would be a great place to do so.
Thank you. So Jesus, if you want to summarize that would be great.
Y la pregunta de Eric Simmons, que es un residente de Carlsbad, que vive cerca de Poinsettia Park, menciona o pregunta que él es usa los campos que son para BMX, y pregunta que si se ha visto o se ha pensado en incluir una pista de BMX en este parque, que hay diferentes estudios que mencionan que puede ayudar financieramente y que tiene algunos reportes que pueden compartir con nosotros para que se pueda analizar esto más a profundo y ver si se puede incluir en este parque.
And
Correct.
And your comment is noted, and if you also want to share it in the chat, we'll still keep note of that as part of the additional amenities that weren't noted. Feel free to put that in the chat so it's recorded that way as well. But thank you for your feedback.
Le damos gracias por su comentario y los estaremos agregando a los servicios adicionales que quizás no estaban en la lista, pero que son algunas de las peticiones de la comunidad.
All right. Thanks, Eric. We'll move
Sure.
on to,
Appreciate it.
of course. We'll move on to Dwayne Taylor now, followed by Wilson Goodney and Joshua.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hello?
We can. It's a bit faint.
Oh, sorry about that. I'll
There we
speak
go.
up.
That's great. Thank you.
I want to thank you for bringing this to a public forum. First and foremost, I really appreciate everyone's time and effort to join this meeting. Yeah, as Eric had mentioned before, I'm a previous professional BMX racer, but a very avid cyclist, not just in BMX, but in mountain bike and other things, and dealing with a lot of the youth and trying to bring up the next generation of cyclists. We live here in Oceanside in a very, very unique area because of our weather, and it seems like a lot of cyclists are flocking to this area. And in staying on topic with what's going on, a racetrack would be amazing. But as far as with the topic and things that were brought up with the pump track, and seeing how our closest pump track here in Oceanside is over 30 miles away in any direction. And with us just having the bike trail, that's really limiting the demographic of riders that have access to something to ride in Oceanside. Cool thing about pump tracks, it's not just for cyclists. A lot of scooters and skateboarders also use them. And it's really a way to express themselves and do things in kids that don't like doing team sports. And also too is 2015, Governor Jerry Brown signed a bill allowing bicycles and scooters into skate parks, but with all the skate parks here in Oceanside, it really hasn't been adopted yet. So having something kind of dedicated for bicycles and skateboards would be really beneficial, I think, to this community. Um, and like I said, with the flocking of athletes to our town, from Olympians to some of the top riders that you see on TV are living in our town with nowhere to ride. And I would really like to stay in contact with this process of what goes on with this facility, because throughout my years of being in action sports, I really see a lot of field sports being underutilized. And now with this, the spurring of so many pump tracks and these other types of facilities popping up, and it seems like every town except for ours, those things are heavily populated every single day. So I think something like that would be really, really beneficial to the community here in Oceanside.
Mr. Taylor, thank you for your feedback. Just if I can summarize for the Spanish, I think the action, like the summary, if I got it right, is the BMX track would be desired, but also a pump track that could be used by multiple users would be desired. And then I don't know if you could clarify, were you also saying that a separate skate use area would also be desired?
No, I was just saying that how bicycles and scooters are not allowed in most of the skate parks here in Oceanside, that even though legally we are allowed, but it hasn't been adopted by our police departments or signage at the skate parks.
Right.
Having somewhere dedicated that cyclists and other people can ride together and not being worried about being
Yes.
involved with any type of injustice.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, la pregunta de Dwayne menciona que también le gustaría ver que hayan más pistas para bicicletas o BMX o pump tracks, ya que ha visto que no ha sido implementado en la ciudad de Oceanside, que quizás la gente que usa patinetas o patines del diablo puedan estar usados también en un bump track, ya que todos ellos pueden usarlos juntos en la misma área. Así que solo está enfocando o tratando de dar su punto de que le gustaría que eso se fuera a implementar en este parque.
Thank you. And thank you for your feedback, and we'll definitely make note of that in our feedback from tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Dwayne. Wilson, you're up next, followed by Joshua and Joanne Bachman.
Can you hear me?
Dan.
Yes. Hi, my name is Wilson Godney. I've been a Parks and Rec Commissioner for a year and a half. I'm also a member of Save Our Streets, SOS. In my invitation to this meeting, it said that there was going to be a follow-up in-person workshop. I think that will be more effective in what we're trying to vote on in this kind of deal. I remember I participated in the Zoom meeting about 2 years ago, maybe no, yeah, almost 2 years ago, weighing in on the Park Site 1 when we were going for a state grant. We didn't get the grant, but we definitely weighed in a lot on certain things that we were looking at, like regarding the pickleball courts and how popular that it's getting. But in this poll that seemed we had to vote on, it seems like we're going back to square one, where are we going to have basketball courts or are we going to have pickleball courts, depending on this poll. So I want to make sure that we're doing this to where it's not an either or. It should be both, because they both were pretty up there. So An in-person forum, I think, would be a lot more effective. Also, I wanted to ask if the consultants are referring to the Parks and Rec master plan that I did along with other Save Our Street members back 2-3 years ago. We were stakeholders, and so we did weigh in on a few things, like for instance, I don't see where a gym is going to be a part of this park, although we are underserved as far as the amount of gyms that we have. We only have 2 gyms, so I don't know if that's off the table for the rest of the 9 parks that are being considered. But that's why I just want to make sure that you guys are referring to that master plan that we were part of 3 years ago, because our input is still the same. So just want to weigh in on that. So that's it. So I don't know if there's questions in that or what, but I do want to know when we are going to have an in-person meeting, because I heard earlier in one of the comments was that in 2023 is when they're going to take all this information and we'll have a meeting and you will present that to us, and that's a long time from now. So that's it.
Thank you, Commissioner Cornett. If I can summarize, hopefully not too shortly, but I'll try to just say that I heard you're looking forward to the meeting in person, that we should and need to refer back to the feedback from the grant process, and to make sure that we are referring to the Park and Rec master plan. I'll just pause for translation there.
Sí, así que la pregunta de Wilson es que recomienda que el taller comunitario sea en persona, ya que cree que ese es un poco más efectivo. También menciona que deberíamos de referirnos al plan maestro que se hizo con Park and Rec y Save Our Streets, ya que ellos aportaron bastante información cuando ese se desarrolló. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't mean to oversimplify, but I definitely heard everything in English.
Well, did you answer the question about the in-person meeting? When will that be?
Yes, I haven't answered. I was just trying to summarize so that we could translate it. And we will be having our next meeting in person, but we are moving forward to present design alternatives. So if you have feedback from what you saw today, please share that with us. And yes, we will refer to the feedback. We're familiar with the results of the grant process, and we're familiar with the Park and Rec master plan.
So right now it's not an either or as far as like pickleball courts versus basketball courts, right? That's what I kind of got confused with that poll that I saw and I weighed in on.
Yeah, that is open still. So maybe, I don't know, Hazelson, if you wanted to just translate, and then we'll speak specifically to the pickleball basketball question.
Okay. Sí, la siguiente junta sí será en persona, el cual será diferentes alternativas que vamos a hacer con las diferentes aportaciones que recibimos el día de hoy. Estamos
And our goal is to get feedback tonight on the site, given the latest site layout and surrounding land uses. So that's why you saw those polls, basically starting those questions, from where we are now with the site constraints, and asking again, is pickleball or basketball or a mix a priority? And so we got those feedback, and if you have additional comments, feel free to, if you want both, we'll just vote for both of those basically, and we'll take that into consideration moving forward.
Well, I actually tried to do both and it would only let me do one. So just
Right. You can put that in the chat. Yes, you can put that in the chat. All right, well, we've noted it now here, so that's great.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Joshua, I'll unmute you now. You're up next.
Hey, how's it going? So in one of the polls, we had an option for English or Spanish, and the poll came back 100% preferred English. So why are we still using a translator?
Do you want to, sorry, I can ask that, we can translate that question. We are going to move forward with translation through the rest of the meeting. This will be posted on the city's website.
All right.
I'm sorry, that wasn't clear. Did you have a different question as well?
No, that was my question.
Sorry. But thank you for your patience, and that this will be posted for others to see as well.
Got it.
Go ahead, Blake.
All right, Joanne, you're up next.
Okay, I'm Joan Bachman, and I'm president of Friends of El Corazon. So anyone who hasn't heard of us, please go to our Facebook page, Friends of El Corazon, or our website, friendsofelcorazon.org. We are the nonprofit that has been involved with this park since when it was first a glimmer in the city's eye. So we are tracking lots of things through various meetings. I do want to mention the Spanish translation is incredibly important because we would want people to go there and listen to this meeting who are not represented here today. So one question is, will the recording be available? You said it would be on the city's web page, so I guess we could do something in a neighborhood and have it there for that. Also, just so that some of the participants are aware, we did do a spreadsheet of everything from the original specific plan through the changes done for the arena, the unapproved changes that were done on the failed grant proposal, and then also the Parks Needs Assessment that was done through the Parks Commission. So we are tracking all changes and where things change in the park. There is a process that involves a public hearings and a general plan amendment to change some things in the park. So we'll also be talking to staff about what that means. And there are many other details that we work behind the scenes with staff a lot. So just so that you're all aware that that is in fact what we do, and that's all.
Thank you, Joan. Thanks for being here, and thanks for all your work on this park and El Corazon. I heard kind of just to summarize for the translation that you've been working hard on this El Corazon since the beginning and have done a recent evaluation of the park as it's evolved, and we'll be working with staff moving forward to make sure we follow the process for the hearings and general plan amendment. Jesus Salon is muted now. We need to unmute him.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So Joanne's es participante de Friends of El Corazón. He ayudado bastante desde el principio, desde la creación de esas pláticas sobre el parque. Tiene bastantes cosas que ha aportado y le damos las gracias por todo lo que nos ha estado aportando para este parque. Estuvo preguntando también si esta presentación será va a poder ser accedida por la comunidad, y estará, la respuesta es que sí, que estará disponible para la comunidad por medio de la página de internet de la ciudad. Así que de nuevo le damos las gracias a Joan por sus aportaciones para este proyecto.
All right, looks like we have an additional question from Dustin, so I'll unmute you.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having this meeting. So was there a date for the follow-up in-person meeting?
It's 2023, early 2023. I don't know, JT, if you want to go to that slide.
for the follow-up in-person meeting or for your guys' presentation of what the current polls were kind of showing? Like your guys' design that you had that you guys will have.
The design options would be presented in early 2023. And the feedback from today, well, the copy of today's meeting will be on the website shortly after this meeting.
Okay, so you guys don't have an official date for a follow-up in-person meetings where you guys can actually talk to people.
The specific date has not been set yet. That's right.
Okay, I was just wondering. Thank you very much.
La pregunta de Dustin era si había un día específico para cuándo va a ser el siguiente taller comunitario y la respuesta es que no, que todavía no tenemos una fecha seleccionada, solo sabemos que será al inicio del 2023.
Thank you everyone for your time tonight and all your input. Before we close, Blake, I wondered if there were any comments in the chat that we should review before we close.
Si queremos repasar con Blake, si hay algunos comentarios que no fueron quizás hablados, que están en la ventana del chat.
Thanks, Jan. I think we've got mostly everything covered, but as I've scrolled through the chat, there's a lot of content. So if you have anything additional, feel free to add that to the chat or raise your hand now.
Al parecer si tenemos bastantes aportaciones y queremos abrir de nuevo el chat para ver si alguien quiere aportar algo más.
If we don't hear anything more, JT, I wondered if I could turn it back to you just to say thank you for everyone for coming.
I would love to do that.
Sorry, JT, can I jump in real quick?
Certainly. Go ahead, Kimberly.
So just wanted to say thank you on behalf of the city, but I do want to also offer up if there is any additional questions from tonight and anything, again, we will look to post everything on the website, but if you need to reach out, just reach out to my email. It's been on all of the advertisements for this meeting, but it's kcorbin@oceansideca.org. But please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions or anything additional to this meeting.
Que Kimberly da las gracias y solo quiere mencionar que si tienen algunas preguntas adicionales después de esta junta, pueden acceder por medio de un correo electrónico a los correos que se han estado mostrando en la presentación y que han estado incluidos en los flyers.
Thank you, Kimberly and Jesus Salan. Mark, I don't know if you have anything you'd like to share before we sign off. Otherwise, I'm happy to close out the meeting.
I just want to reiterate what Kimberly mentioned on behalf of Oceanside and the Oceanside Parks and Recreation Department. We appreciate everyone's feedback, being with us this evening. It's an exciting time. There's a lot of things going on at the site, and we're certainly excited to get on the path to developing Parksite 1 for the community of Oceanside. So thank you for all your feedback, and we look forward to continuing the process over the next several months.
Así que Mark da las gracias por medio de la ciudad de Oceanside y quiere agradecer la participación de todos, que estamos bastante emocionados por empezar este nuevo proyecto con todos ustedes para el desarrollo de este parque número 1 y para el uso de toda la comunidad.
Thank you, Mark. And I would like to echo Mark's sentiments. Thank you all for your time this evening, for taking time out of your days to come share with us your thoughts and vision and priorities for Parksite 1. As park planners and designers, this is such an exciting time for us. This is what gets us up every morning, because we're really excited and passionate about taking your feedback and your vision and starting the design process and crafting design alternatives. So we again thank you for your time this evening, and please continue to be engaged throughout the process as we have our meeting in the future. So thank you very much, and we hope you all have a wonderful evening.
De nuevo, queremos dar las gracias a todos por compartir todas sus sugerencias, comentarios para el desarrollo de este parque. Nosotros como diseñadores y planeadores de parques, esas son las áreas que nos gusta más compartir con ustedes porque tenemos todas las aportaciones de toda la comunidad. Así que les invitamos a que sigan estando involucrados en los siguientes talleres comunitarios para seguir aportando sus sugerencias y comentarios para ayudarnos a desarrollar este parque para la comunidad.
Okay, thank you, Gisela.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.
Have a good night.
Gracias a todos. Buenas noches.